Hey folks, it's Ray with Taste Radio. Right now, I'm on a call with Joshua Ellis, the founder and CEO of WithCo Cocktails. Josh, great to see you.
Good to see you too, Ray. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks so much for being with me. I'm here in our studio at BevNet headquarters in Newton, Mass. You're in your quasi headquarters down in Nashville. Tell folks where you're at.
Yeah, so we are a couple miles outside of downtown Nashville, where we do all of our office, warehousing, fulfillment. Specifically, I'm inside of I guess, a mobile pop-up shop, if you will. We built a trailer on wheels so we could pop around town, meet customers on the street, sample product, and sell product out of it. So it's a little, about 14-foot, super modern little pop-up shop. So just a way to meet customers that are coming to Nashville with all the tourism we have. So I now have it in our office, and it works like a little mobile office while we're not using it out in the streets.
One thing you told me before we got on the mics is that this is a big week for you guys, and it's a big week because you had a huge sales milestone.
Yeah, it's one of those mornings, where you gather the team to celebrate. And I guess as kind of a founder, you look around and you're like, man, we're doing this. This was all a dream. And then the next thing you know, you're celebrating, and there's more people in the room, amazing people, all singular focus. So yeah, we got together today to celebrate. Last year was a wild year for us from the standpoint of growth, and we hit a lot of things that we didn't think we were going to do last year, and 2021 has been a very similar rhythm, if you will. So we broke last year's revenue in May of this year, and just wanted to take time to really steward some celebrations. So we brought the whole team in. We did confetti bombs and balloons and shot some content and just celebrated. So 2021's been a fun year so far, and I just wanted to recognize that with the team. So it was a fun morning. And if you guys end up following us on social, you'll start to see some of that content go out in the next week or so.
Very cool, and congratulations. Well, one piece of content that I really was interested in hearing about was a video that you posted on Instagram last year referencing a pretty popular Drake song called 0 to 100. What was your message there?
So last year was a wild year for us. And I think in that there was a lot of internal processing that I was sharing on social media, of like less of look what we're doing and more of look what we're learning as we're doing. And the analogy there is that I think there's this illusion in society, especially in entrepreneurship in the social space, that everyone around you is killing it, right? And you're behind. And it's a notion that I've dealt with is, man, everyone around me is like, it feels like they're at 100. They're breaking the mold. They're doing great things in life. And I think for me, we kind of put people on a pedestal of like, they're at 100. And I think at the end of the day, we assume that it just happened for them. Yet we rarely see the whole story. So for me, the 0 to 100 is the reality that kind of in life and business, you don't go from 0 to 100. You go from 0 to 10. You go from 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and so on. And I think it's in that sequence that great organizations are built and created, and also great lives are created when there's a slow and steady pace.
Well, certainly you guys didn't go 0 to 100 because you actually started the company back in 2016, and you've seen remarkable growth over the last year and a half. Let's back up a second and talk about the genesis of WithCo. What was the inspiration behind the idea? What were you trying to accomplish?
When we originally set out to create WithCo, the space was remarkably different. There was not as much of an emphasis on fresh ingredients and quality and better for you. It was, at that time, just a lot of plastic bottles and preservatives and things you couldn't really pronounce. And ultimately, the mixer space wasn't something that was wildly, not acceptable, but as broadly noticed as it is now. I feel like now it's a very exploratory space where you want to look, you see something at Target or on the shelf and you're like, man, the branding's great, the ingredients are great, But at that time, there wasn't as much in the market. But less about product. I think the mission behind WithCo is helping the way people gather today. And what I mean by that is we are community focused. So WithCo, spelled WITHCO, stands for with company. So our mission statement is to really help people gather one bottle at a time to drink with company.
So for folks listening, they should understand what Withco sort of represents from a branding perspective. It has a very luxury feel to it. This doesn't feel like sort of an everyday brand, the most accessible brand to folks looking for a cocktail mixer. That doesn't mean that it isn't an incredible brand. It just feels like it's for a more elevated type audience, a more elevated type of cocktail consumer. Was that the original intention, or did you sort of learn that that's who your consumer would eventually be?
Um, we built it for ourselves. And what I mean by that is we built it to solve a problem in our lives. And in doing so, we built it at a premium level for how we enjoy things. So what I mean is, I'm willing to spend a little bit more for a better meal, and be going out and having a great dinner or going on a good vacation. It's one of those feelings where you want better for you if that's a priority to you. And at that time, I don't know if we were so focused on being the most premium or the most expensive or anything. We just saw these bottles in our mind. And I know if you're watching the video, like we saw simple, clean, aesthetic packaging, and we saw it in glass because we knew that was going to be quality. And we saw it, if you look at our bottles, you'll notice we don't just wrap a sticker around it. Like every 90% of what's in the liquor store, maybe 100% of what's on the market, if it's not in a can, it's in glass. You generally just have a sticker wrapped around it. And for us, there was this idea of not being able to see the glass, not being able to see the fresh ingredients inside, because without preservatives and stuff, like you see the freshly squeezed lime juice, you see the mint, so you can see some of the settling of the ginger root and stuff like that. And to give this really beautiful package that when you're in a liquor store or you see our product out in the market or online or through advertisement, you're like, what is that? Is that like a luxury shampoo or is that a fragrance? Like there's almost this allure to why does this look so different? And yes, we do have a little bit of a higher price point, but I think the packaging really leads to a level of trust. So I think when we set out, we didn't really know the industry or the space. I think we just had this vision in our mind of a drop, which is our logo, and then the word WithCo, and it would say with company cocktails. And I think it just evolved into being a beautifully, premium product when you look at the space now. But I will mention one thing that I think would be really kind of a perfect segue here. When I think about creating things, I like to think about the customer experience and build backwards, but not just like, how did it, like, not in the sense of, are they going to enjoy it? What I mean is, what does it feel like? I think through the senses, right? What does it feel like when you see WithCo for the first time? What comes to mind from just a visual standpoint, right? Next, what goes through your mind when you touch it and feel it? So now we're moving into another sense. And it's like, we thought about that process and we thought about what we wanted it to feel like. Do you feel cheap? Do you feel mistrust? Or do you feel quality? And are you kind of drawn into, man, I wonder what this tastes like? Because at the end of the day, everyone in beverage knows, unless someone tries your product, you only have a limited amount of time to really earn a level of trust for them to invest in that product. And so I think the customer experience, even before they try it, was something that we honed in on right away, because it's a busy world out there in the beverage space. It's created this really unique audience, where I think quality over convenience is a priority to our customers.
How much did you take into account social media when you were designing the package? Did you take into account things like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter? Because I found your brand on Instagram. And when I saw it, I said, my goodness, this is fantastic branding. They have a great presence on social. And I would love to, as you mentioned, see it in my hand, feel it, and eventually taste this product in a cocktail. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of people have had the same experience that I have, finding this brand on social, trying it, buying it, repeat buying it.
Obviously, as you are growing outside of your natural territory, which for us is Nashville, it's like, how do we reach our customer? And so for us, it's, it is, how do we show up on social? How do we stay true to our message and meet our customer? And obviously, online advertisement, Amazon Prime, and starting to move into other state distribution. It starts with social, because as a young company, that's where you can actually get into the market at the least amount of cost, especially when you don't have a whole team or sales reps out pushing the brand. And so for us, being super scrappy and being a company that didn't go in with any seed capital other than my $1,000, we had to go to where we knew we could reach the most amount of people. And on that note, talk about scrappy. Last year, in January and February, we had no social presence outside of organic social media, just posting. And I didn't have any money to budget for marketing or Facebook ad spend or anything. And I tell you, I spent hours a day locked at home because the shutdown. One employee, right? I think I had another buddy helping with liquor store delivery in like 20 stores. But for the most part, I was the only employee at the beginning of 2020. And I sat on Instagram, went to hashtag cocktail, hashtag happy hour, hashtag tequila, hashtag vodka, hashtag whiskey. And I went and found everybody I could find that was talking about liquor and cocktails and happy hours, virtual happy hour, any hashtag possible. And I would go in like thousands a day, and I would engage, and I would say, what whiskey are you using? And I had to almost go out and virtually tap thousands of people on the shoulder, not to spam them, but to just like show up and say, hey, we like to drink too at WithCo. I see you like whiskey. They find we have an old fashioned. And what I'd see is, after I would engage with people, I could see traffic to the website and we'd start to see sales. So I used social media, even when we didn't have money, just to connect and engage with people that are out there sharing a similar interest. So if you are listening to this and you're like, where do I start? It's like, go start building your first 100 people, and don't just spam them. Actually engage with them. Start a conversation, figure out what they like, give them a promo code, whatever you need to do, because you need to get people tasting your product. And so to go back to social, like now we really have an amazing, strategic advertising plan and a budget for it. But prior to that, using social to just organically engage with customers, those were early adopters, as well as launching a Kickstarter back in 2017. Like, we just mobilized social as best we could with what we had at that time.
Yeah, I think you slid into my DMs, actually, now that I recall it.
I can tell you why. I remember listening to Taste Radio, and Alix from Bev was on there, and I just, man, like the way that I was able to connect with her leadership and culture. And of course, I've connected with her since. And I was like, man, I'd love to talk to Ray. And we connected. And I think at that time, I was like a one-man team. We were very small. And in a kind way, you were like, let's stay in touch. And
I think I was probably in a nutty state of mind too, because I think it was right at the outside of the pandemic, and I'm just like, wow, I'm not sure what the heck is going on, but I'm glad it all worked out, because here we are right now, you being on Taste Radio, me talking to you.
I have this quote of jump out of the nest and grow your wings on the way down. And for me, it was be so uncomfortable that you have to figure it out. You have to solve these problems. You have to wear 90 hats as the accountant, the marketing guy, the inventory guy, the delivery guy, like wear them all. And then as the company grows, slowly find amazing people that you can pass your hats out to and truly become founder, become leader. My word for 2020 going in was discomfort. Like most people probably choose words of joy and passion and inspiration and motivation. Mine was like, I want to just be uncomfortable. Because if I'm uncomfortable, then that means we're always learning, we're always adapting, we're always changing. we're becoming better. And the moment we get comfortable, that means we're not challenging the status quo. We're not bending the rules. We're not coloring outside the lines. And so 2020 was kind of a rebellious year where we broke the mold and jumped to the top of the chart in many ways.
Well, the naysayers, and some might call them the haters, might say, well, they were lucky during the pandemic because liquor sales were up, because people were drinking at home. Now people are out in bars, probably more than they even were in 2019. Everyone wants to be out. So why would people continue buying this product? Why would people keep investing their money into this brand if they're going to be going out to cocktail bars, to bars, etc. But you've bucked that thought. You've bucked that line of thinking in that you are continuing to grow, that your product is selling in stores. Um, how do you how do you explain that? Because again, so much of your success in 2020 and into 2021 was due to the pandemic.
Yep. Well, 2020, I think, reshaped the behavior of at home drinking, right? I mean, we were forced to do it. So, in doing so, some people came like a little intentional or bougie or strategic about how they did it. It's like, well, now I'm going to go explore mixers. I found this one. What else is out there? And it actually put mixers, not and seltzers too, but they were kind of already on the map. It put exploring different ways of enjoying liquor at home. It shifted a behavior, right? And so when people found WithCo during that, I think when they started getting on the other side of pandemic, they were a part of the brand. They were a part of the mission. Our repeat customer is wild right now, and it's because of how we engage on social with them and how we engage in our email and SMS and just different ways that we teach them how to use the product. And so I think a lot of our customer base wasn't like, oh, I tried that in the pandemic. It's like, no, I tried it during the pandemic. But because the pandemic showed us that being at home and having guests over, I think there's a lot of people that quality of life is actually more enriching sometimes than being at the bar every weekend. And that's the best way to meet a new customer, is them exploring it with friends and them actually having a taste test and not seeing an advertisement being like, I wonder if it's good, but them actually experiencing it with company for their first time ever learning about the brand. So I think that plays a testament. It's probably an underlying intentional campaign that maybe we did not know we were doing, but it plays in really well. So yeah, that's number one. Obviously, number two is the more liquor stores we're in, the more retail outlets we begin to go into and start rolling out in other states. You know, people are always going to go to liquor stores, and I think not everybody likes to drink straight liquor. Not everybody knows how to make their liquor taste great. And I think people, because of COVID, are open to trying things in their local liquor store, and that's where we meet thousands and thousands of new customers is behind in the liquor store. So I think COVID just opened the door for people to explore more ways to enjoy drinking at home. And again, some people use our stuff as a seltzer or a spritz, or they put soda water instead of liquor, and it's like a fresh ingredient soda. So there's multiple ways to use the product, and I think our customers are figuring that out.
It's interesting to hear you talk about liquor stores and engaging with liquor stores on a regular basis, because you have to invest a lot of time to get each individual store. Whereas if you are engaging one retail a buyer at a particular chain, you can get into hundreds, if not thousands of stores pretty quickly.
Right.
And I think that's something that people that are listening to this podcast would say is, I don't want to just, get into a handful of retailers here and there that I have to, spend so much time working on each individual store. I'd love to just be in Target in 500 to 1,000 stores. Are chain retailers at all a part of the plan, the strategy, or do you find that you're getting a more nuanced experience and getting more personalized service by being in these individual liquor stores?
You know, it's funny how this 0 to 100 concept keeps coming back.
It all comes full circle.
For me, us getting individualized stores was how our distributor, Best Brands in Tennessee, saw us and said, wait a second, you guys went and opened 40 stores on your own, and you're doing tastings, 6 to 7, 8 tastings in liquor stores per weekend. And we're like, yeah. And they go, how fast can we get a contract with you guys? Because what it did is it made them say, man, this brand is building something that aligns with how we want to integrate with them, because they're getting out there and they're beating the streets, and like they're putting 100% of their profits back in to marketing and meeting the customer. And that's why that's where we're funding the company right now. Is like, great, we made all this money, but we dumped it right back into new tasting reps and new distributor programs. So yes, we do want to move into, total lines nationwide and move into Target. I think Target is our ideal customer at the end of the day. Like those type of outlets would be great. But those conversations, oftentimes it's easier for us to get there. And we have a route to market plan that spells out how we want to move through 2020, 21, 22, 23. And when you're able to see states across the country be integrated into your marketing plan, it gives you a sense of peace that like, okay, there is a plan, we'll get there, but we got to get there in sequence. And right now it is open a few stores, do work those stores really well, get a distributor, have that distributor support, awesome, replicate in the next state. So when I say built to sell, it really is more the mentality and the decisions we make to build something that has systems, processes, procedures, people, and profit. They're like those 4 Ps. Do we have good people? Do we have a good product? Do we have good procedures in place? And are we profitable, or are we moving in that direction? I want to build something that is attractive, which to me means it was built right. And so that is kind of that built to sell mentality. We may never sell this thing. Who knows? It may be something that we build right. We love it. We have a great team. But I think in beverage, there is oftentimes a mentality of like market share and growing fast and scaling quick. And if you do it right, there oftentimes is a strategic that comes along, or an investment group that's like, hey, we love this. And for WithCo, I could see it being more of a multi-year transition where they go, hey, we love the team you have and we love how you guys operate. We want to come in with resources such as money, such as connections and resources to really get the WithCo brand in more places than in a faster amount of time than maybe we could have done on our own. So I don't necessarily see it as a buyout in regards to, well, we're done, time to go home. I'm more interested in a strategic alignment that allows my team to continue what we do well while aligning with the strategic brand that does what they do well. And in addition, it expedites growth. And if there is something at the end of that, I don't know if this is too much to share or not, but I have structured my company in multiple classes. And one of those classes is specifically for employees and people in the company that have served well here. And, my goal has been from the very beginning to make sure that if and when something were to happen in the future, that I take care of my people. And for me, that's a cost that I'm excited for. I feel like that's that leadership mentality inside of me is, if something were to happen, it's actually going to be a good thing. We're not going to make a decision or a sale or some sort of alignment that my people wouldn't come first in that decision. We're very much family oriented. And a lot of these people I've walked with for 5, 6, 7 years prior. And I've learned how to bring family and friends into the company, but also lead and have amazing boundaries and emotional conversations that keep us aligned and help us to work well. And I apologize for that. And they would be first and foremost in any decision. So I don't wake up every day going, when are we going to sell? I wake up every day and go, is everyone happy? Are we healthy? Are we growing? And are we loving what we're doing? So maybe it's a bookmark down the road that, maybe there's another podcast where we talk about if and when that happens, but I'm just excited for where we're at for the time being, for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for you guys as well. And Josh, I'm personally excited for you. I feel like from when we first connected till now, the growth rate that you're on is so amazing to see. Congratulations on all that you've accomplished to this point.
Hopefully this story is inspiring for maybe some people that are a few chapters behind us, maybe even for some that are in front of us, but for people that have an idea and are trying to just figure out how to go and how to grow and how to get started. Hopefully, me being able to break down a lot of those initial stage decisions and commitment and focus will resonate. So I had some fun doing this for sure.
I did as well, and I think everyone listening is going to take value from our conversation today. Once again, Josh, thanks so much for being with me, and yeah, let's catch up again soon.
Awesome, man. Cheers.
All right.